Hi, all my gorgeous souls. This is your weekly healing messages. It's for 2 weeks, for July 7th through the 19th. Now, I'm doing it for 2 weeks because the energy is so flippin' powerful. And really, it can be a positive thing. It really, really can. But it really depends on you, on how you react, because right now everything is all about the reaction. And where will you take that reaction? Spirit gives me snake eyes. Now, I'm going to explain this a whole lot deeper in just a minute. They give me snake eyes and they give me the peacock. All eyes are on you. Positive, divine eyes, as well as evil. And they're waiting to see what your reaction will be, to know how and what they can influence you with. And where are you on your own spiritual journey? In honesty. Have you ever seen the movie You Got Mail? It's an old movie with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, because that's what Spirit's giving me. Is in that movie, at some point, before they knew who each other were, they were becoming friends, and he has a sharp tongue, more or less, and is able to say things that are cruel and hurtful, and at the moment make him feel good and powerful. And afterwards, he has to live with his actions and what he says. And they're having this conversation over the phone, I believe, or over the internet, whatever. The whole point of it is she's sitting here going, I wish I was able to do that. And he's telling her how it's not as great as it may seem to be able to speak your mind or to say what it is you think, because you have to live with what you've said. You have to live with the words that have come out of your mouth and be responsible for the actions of them. And sometimes that's not good. And these two were having this conversation. That's much of what this energy is. You definitely have snake eyes. And what I'm getting is coming out of the fixed stars, and I'm going to explain it, like I said, in just a minute. But what this has to do is with immortality versus mortality. You're being given a very good jolt of power right now. But what will you do with that power? When I went to make this video also, I walked outside and I left, it's a rose quartz bracelet. And my bracelet literally spoke to me and said, some of the worst things are done with the best intentions. I'm just trying to make you see how deep and how powerful this is. Because you're being given the power, the vitality, the energy to stand in your power. Like you're immortal. But afterwards, when mortality kicks in, how will you feel about the choices you've made? This is a spiritual detox. This is an earth detox, is what Spirit is telling me right now. With Mars now entering or being in Aries. And its home sign is going to be here for the whole rest of the year. But what most people aren't talking about is Chiron is about to go retrograde on the 11th. And they're coming together. They're going to come together at 9 degrees and some change, on top of another fixed star. See, that's where I get into astrology in different ways from most astrologers, because I go exactly where Spirit is ciphering me to go, and they're pulling me into these stars at this time. Not to mention, remember, Mercury is in retrograde until technically the 12th, which means that communication's a little anyway. Because with Mercury in retrograde, we can't help but to be more self-centered. We can't help but to be more me energy. The sun is sitting in Cancer, but it's also sitting on top of a fixed star. At 18 degrees, as it's starting to move forward, I should say, it's coming into Wasat this week. And as it travels through next week, it's traveling over Wasat, which is a fixed star. And this is where most of your astrologers start losing what they're talking to you about. Because this sign is about unfortunate Saturn and Sun energy. Saturn is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, setting proper restrictions. Mars is that sacral chakra, that solar plexus coming together. It is your passion, your action, your fire, and Spirit is pushing me down right now. What it is they're giving me the idea of coming out and being aggressive and saying this energy and speaking our mind and coming into that power. Or the very opposite. You're feeling very withdrawn because of the energy and wanting to just stay home. This is also coming into the energy of Castor. It is one of the mortal twins. It is the thesis eyes. It speaks to us of embodying the result of, I want to see the frickin' proof. Turn it into proof. Go big or go home. Either speak it or shut up is basically what you're getting with this. But Castor speaks to us of Mercury energy. Fame, honor, founding of the horses. You have to understand, Castor and Pollux is like Apollo and Hercules. They're favored by Jupiter. Even if Jupiter is in Capricorn and isn't in the most strongest place, it's getting favors from energies that are going to help strengthen that energy of Jupiter right now. The guardians of the pole, Kokub, the North Pole. And I can't even pronounce that one. They're definitely throwing in their energy here too. I'm trying to go through and explain it all. Like I said, Castor was the mortal of the twins, and the sun is illuminating the energy. Castor was a boxer. He was a boxer. This is the herdsmen and the warriors coming forward. This is the snake eyes, seeing the truth from both eyes. The peacock, vision, dignity, prestige, holiness, royal, nobility, immortality. You're being given the energies to lift you and build you. But what will you do with them? Will you act in honorable ways? See, because Mars coming into Aries is also speaking to us of his sexuality. Chiron's the wounded healer, about to go retrograde. Like I said, and it's coming up on Alganib. I said that totally wrong. Alganib. It's another fixed star. It's about vanity, intuition. Very bad judgment, though. This is saying if you're looking at things from face value, I want it just because it's pretty. I want this apotholite in my life. Because it's big and it's beautiful, it makes me look good. Then you're doing it wrong. Not because of the face value. That's where that immortality and that mortality is going to smack you down. You've got Mars coming into Chiron and Aries, the very beginnings of these signs, which are talking about poor judgment, poor rules, poor poor rules, walls, boundaries, resistance, poor communication. Mercury's still in retrograde. You have the sexuality of Mars and many of these fixed stars energies, not in its most healthiest way. I hate to say it. Mars is the sexual warrior. You are going to see a lot of relationships breaking up. You are going to see a lot of, secret partners, whether they're sexual or, business related. You're going to see a lot of, entitlement. I'm entitled to speak my mind, even though I can't back it up. What will you do with these energies? This is not about the outer world. This is about how we handle ourselves, and we rise to finding nobility, honor, and our spiritual royalty. How do we grow? By acknowledging how to take that immortal energy of spirit and taking it in healthy, wise ways as we move forward, not aggressive, negative ones that are going to come back and smack us in the face with our mortality and show us we've not learned anything. You have Venus, who is also sitting on what is considered the bull's north eye at 9 degrees of Gemini. It is a royal star. It speaks to us of Archangel Michael and knowing how to honor thyself, dignity, popular, and being courage. But it can be unfortunate in Mars because, like I said, it all depends on where will you take these energies. Will you ride with them egotistically? Or will you thrive with them on a spiritual higher being of understanding the bigger story? This is a spiritual earth detox right now of what we are seeing with Mars igniting this energy. It is ridding the bad toxins. Not to mention, this is a test. You have the Lion's Gate coming up in August, in the beginning of August. All eyes are on Snake Eyes, Peacock. Like I was saying, some of the worst things are done with the best intentions, is the first thing that my rose cards was saying to me. Do we understand love? Are we being of love? Or are we being of ego and power? The North Node is sitting with the Polaris star. Is also sitting in Gemini with Orion's right shoulder. Again, this is unfortunate energies of Mars, Mercury, Saturn, and Venus. Spirit is telling me this is a necessary evil to, detox. You can come into your power and things can be going gloriously for you. And then that means you've learned some of your lessons. But if you have not, and you are being tweaked to see if you will act out of egotistical and fall behind, that is your test right now. You have Haumea, which is in Libra, which is the very collective consciousness, speaking to Eris in Aries, also in Aries. Eris is Medusa, trouble, toil, strife, pointing those fingers outwardly instead of pointing them at ourselves and figuring out how we have to adjust and change our lives. Not to mention, Spirit is telling me somehow, and I don't even understand how that's happening, but Spirit is saying Uranus is getting stuck in the conversation between Haumea, the very collective consciousness of the relationships, where we are and who we've placed ourselves in our relationships with, and Eris holding on to trouble, toil, strife, pointing fingers, and not getting right with our independence, our individuality, our uniqueness, our freedom, our self-worth, our self-value, our self-esteem. Are you getting caught in the trap of possessiveness or being the possession of others? Are you getting caught in the trap of the controlled energy being forced upon you because of resentment, trouble, toil, strife, versus the true collective consciousness. This energy is speaking to us about vanity being on display. Will you choose vanity and ego, which will backfire? Or are you going after the true vision, the true dignity, the true prestige of finding your higher self and working your way through these energies? You have many planets that are in retrograde right now. Venus no longer is in retrograde. Uranus is not in retrograde. Mars is not in retrograde. Remember, Chiron is about to go in retrograde and go right back on top of Mars. Ambition, vanity, intuition, and bad judgments. Make judgments from the soul. Not because it looks good on paper or it looks good as a possession. If you're looking at people and your lifestyle as possessions, you're looking at it wrong. I love you guys. Bye.